Let me get my share all squared away. We can get going. There we are. All right. Hello, YouTube. Thanks for joining us. Good to have you. Let me see if I tagged anything. Morning when I left you guys. Just the one. Big news. Secretary Kennedy banning chemical and surgical mutilation procedures for children. Right. This is going right along with the House bill, which does the same thing, codifies the same thing. Whether the Senate's going to pass that is another story, but at least we have HHS in the meantime. Next admin can obviously reverse that if they don't pass legislation, but to start.
Today we are taking 6 decisive actions, guided by gold standard science and the week 1 executive order from President Trump to protect children from chemical and surgical mutilation. This morning I signed a declaration: sex-rejecting procedures are neither safe nor effective treatment for children with gender dysphoria. Today we are taking 6 decisive actions, guided by gold standard science.
6 of them. I don't know what else involved, but they're getting rid of it. Good. Yay. See what we missed this afternoon. I think where was it? Off. Size Marco. I think we were somewhere in here. We did, Rose. That was the last one. All right, here we go. Rosie O'Donnell joins millions of libtards in their presidential blackout. They will no longer be talking or posting about President Trump, apparently. This is a thing. I encourage this. Please do this. Yeah. In fact, do it for longer than 3 days. Do it forever.
Yes, honey. You know, I saw your thing, and I had just come from therapy, and my therapist was
I bet you had
saying the same exact thing, that, you know,
yeah, that you should stop obsessing about the orange man and, like, live your life and stop being a fucking weirdo.
Grief is a positive thing to go through with all that's happening now in our country, and rage is not. So to give this narcissist no power is the only thing that's going to affect him. None. Do not say his name. Do not. And I heard what you said loud and clear, and I'm like, good for you. And I love your posts. I think you're very poignant and very inspiring. And thank you for doing them. Thank you.
Wow. I have no problem with this. I'm good. I'm good with this. You can do that. Former manager of the Harvard Medical School morgue and his wife have been sentenced in a federal court in Pennsylvania for stealing human remains and selling them. Money. Yep. This guy. Morgue employee Cedric Lodge. Remember this one? As to how this genius ever got employed by Harvard Medical School, well, you know how. We all know how. Okay, a new burn cage incinerator that can reach temperatures higher than what is required to burn human bones has been found in the house of singer D4VD David? Yeah, David Anthony Berg. That's the young rap star who had the kid's body like found in his trunk. 14-year-old girl. Body was like found in the trunk of some vehicle that he owned. Apparently, he also happened to conveniently own a large incinerator that can reach temperatures hot enough to burn human bone. Yeah. I mean, I think about buying those sometimes. Like, could be normal.
Also have an update tonight on the case.
Oh, he killed her. He killed the shit out of her.
Of the
He definitely did it.
Singer David and the runaway teen girlfriend who was found dead in the trunk of his Tesla. For weeks, we've been wondering just what it was that a private investigator named Steve Fisher found inside David's home when he was given access last October. The PI reported seeing, quote, items you would expect to find on a farm rather than in a home in the Hollywood Hills. And today, we are learning about one of those items. Steve Fisher has confirmed it was something called a burn cage. Take a look at your screen. That's what a burn cage looks like. It's used usually on farms to incinerate waste and debris, but lots of private homes have them as well. This particular model can apparently get up to a whopping 1,600 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 200 degrees hotter than the temperature required to burn human bones. And this is the photograph Steve took of that.
Y'all trying to cremate a body?
Burn device, the burn cage inside David's home. He noted that these types of
Oh, yes, he is.
incinerators are illegal in LA County, and that even if it were a prop, say used for a music video, still doesn't seem to be much of a reason for it to be delivered to his home. Still no word on an arrest in this case, but with evidence like this.
A prop for a music video. I mean, I guess it's a pretty dramatic, like, look at that.
To incinerate.
Maybe? Personally, I think he probably put the body in it.
Still doesn't seem to be much of a reason for it to be delivered to his home. Still no word on an arrest in this case, but with evidence like this, might only be a matter of time.
Well, I don't know, though. If he had the dang thing, why didn't he put the body in it? He had the body, apparently. He had the incinerator. Why didn't he, whoop, and then whoop, and then burn the whole thing? Why didn't he do it? Maybe he didn't have time to set it up yet. Maybe the instructions were very confusing, written in Chinese. Nick Reiner, whatever, appeared in a Los Angeles court on Wednesday over the killing of his parents. Arraignment was postponed until January 7th.
I just want to start off with saying thank you
Kamala's stepdaughter.
for everyone sounding off in the comments. This is the exact kind of discourse, conversation, sharing I wanted to have. Makes me feel less alone in the situation. Also wanted to address this comment. This, I know this, and I think a part of my mental health issues convinces myself that I'm better now and I don't need these, and
Need what? What is these?
having them makes me weaker or is going to make me less better. And I think that's just a part of coming to terms with having like chronic depression and anxiety and
So you're medicated.
things like that. So,
Never would have guessed.
but yes, you should definitely consult your doctor and wean off of them in that way. As many people and myself can attest, it is very dangerous. Also, it's really amazing and awesome to see how many people have been on SSRIs and anti-anxiety
Oh, you're on the school shooter medication. How nice.
meds for so long, and that it's so helpful. I have no plan on getting off of mine anytime soon, and I agree with what a lot of people are saying. Like any medication for anyone who has physical ailments or illness.
You got a physical ailment, all right. I mean, oh, yeah.
This is something that I'm okay with being on forever if I need to, even if I have these cycles of, oh, I'm going to get off of it, XYZ. But yeah, this is great conversation, and thank you guys. You
So good. OMG.
guys are the best.
Guys are the best. Nepo baby. And what does she do for a living? Whatever it is, Nepo baby. Epstein associate Maxwell seeks prison release amid new evidence. I like what? I don't think it's gonna help you. Substantial new evidence that has emerged proving that constitutional violations spoiled her trial. Like what? Exactly. Demonstrating constitutional violations that undermine the fairness of her proceeding. In the light of the full evidentiary record, no reasonable juror would have convicted her. Somehow, I doubt that. Yes, lawyers like to say stuff. Wall Street Journal reporter John Jurgensen has new details about, what happened at the holiday party at Conan O'Brien's house. Yeah. There's some big something that happened. Some kind of big argument, apparently. I've heard varying versions. I'm not sure what's what, but yeah, I've heard that he got into a big argument with Bill Hader of that one show, The Office. Yeah. Heard a version where it's with Rob Reiner himself, and like Rob Reiner is at the party and they have an argument with him there. I don't know.
New security camera video tonight leading up to the arrest of Nick Reiner. It shows Reiner walk into a gas station convenience store in South Los Angeles Sunday night, several hours after the bodies of Rob and Michelle Reiner's parents were found. Now, the footage shows him walking toward a cooler where he picks up a sports drink, then making his way toward the register, appearing to kind of...
Yeah, gotta get that Red Bull in before you go slash your parents' throats.
Fidget a bit, and then...
Gotta make sure you got energy.
Paying in cash and leaving.
The high energy activity.
He makes his way out of the store and across the street, where about an hour later, several unmarked police cars drive up. He puts his arms up and is quickly taken into custody. Nick Reiner briefly appeared in court today, but entered no plea to the pair of first-degree murder counts he is facing. Meantime, records posted today from the LA County Medical Examiner's Office confirmed that Rob and Michelle Singer Reiner were victims of homicide. They were both killed inside their Brentwood home, and that the cause was, quote, multiple sharp force injuries. Also today, their two other children, Jake and Romy, put out a statement. It reads, words cannot even begin to describe the unimaginable pain we are experiencing every moment of the day. The horrific and devastating loss of our parents, Rob and Michelle Reiner, is something that no one should ever experience. They weren't just our parents, they were our best friends. We're grateful for the outpouring of condolences, kindness, and support we've received, not only from family and friends, but people from all walks of life. Joining us now is the Wall Street Journal's John Jurgensen, who's got new details about what happened Saturday night at a holiday party at Conan O'Brien's home, with the Reiners attended with their son, Nick.
I would like to hear more about Barack Obama and Michelle going to visit Rob.
Reporting is really interesting. Can you just kind of walk us through the final hours of the Reiners' lives that we know about it?
Sure. So on the night before they were found murdered, Rob and Michelle brought their son Nick to a holiday party at Conan O'Brien's house. During the party, he was approaching people there, asking questions that, in that context, seemed confrontational, strange. Especially, are you famous? Asking people there, are you famous? So you can imagine.
Weird.
Imagine a party of actual famous people and fame adjacent people who are really used to strange behavior out in public, but here they are at a gathering of their peers at a party hosted by Conan. It was unsettling to some.
It wasn't sort of, oh, are you legitimate? Like, oh, are you famous? It was saying to like Bill Hader, who's a very famous, well-known
he's just like a fuck you, like, haha.
A live comedian. Are you famous?
Yes.
Like, there's a hostility to
Who
it.
are you? Are you famous or something?
But it seems
Am I supposed to know who you are?
And also, keep in mind, this is a man who grew up around famous people. He knows fame. So Bill Hader was one of the people he approached at the party, and
You report on sort of I don't know if it was an argument or a...
There was an awkward exchange made more awkward by the fact that he had met Hader earlier in the night. So when Rob had introduced him, so when he came up and asked him questions such as, what's your name? Are you famous? It was...
Wait, Rob Reiner was there and introduced Bill Hader to his son, who then came up to him later and asked him if he was famous? Am I getting this right?
It was unsettling and described as scary from Hader's perspective.
And then how...
Yeah, I would be a little unsettled by that too.
Do you know how long he stayed at the party? Was he asked to leave?
That is unclear, and there are kind of conflicting reports about how much tension was in the room, whether or not he may have argued with his dad, and whether that argument was significant at all.
There's still no firm answer on that.
I think what stands is this fact that this is going to be remembered as a very strange prelude to a really horrific turn of events.
You've also done a lot of reporting just on his addiction, on his past.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that
reporting just on
a really horrific turn.
Oh, look at that. There he is at the Kennedy Center Honors. I have to assume during a different year. Like, there's no way he would have attended the most recent one.
You've also done a lot of reporting just on his addiction, on his past.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that Rob and Michelle brought their 32-year-old son to this party, I think, is kind of a sign of their ongoing efforts over the years to really stabilize him, to normalize his life had been rocked many.
Typical libtards. Some of them just belong in rubber rooms, okay? Foam padded rooms.
Times by his addiction.
And there had been, there have been a lot of efforts by Rob Reiner over the years. I mean, making that film, Rob Reiner worked as a director on it, the movie that his son co-wrote.
Being Charlie.
Apparently without salary, even, in the hopes that would sort of launch him into a career, I guess.
Correct, and to really try to understand what Nick had gone through as a father. I mean, that's how Rob described it, at least. And what's remarkable is that whole thing would be private and opaque to us if that movie hadn't happened. Right. They hadn't gone on these press tours talking about their problems with, kind of varying degrees of...
I actually remember this happening. I remember seeing their media tour together at the time.
Of comfort and discomfort, it seemed like, on both their parts.
Yeah.
And thinking, oh, wow, that's great. Like, good for them. I remember this.
It's fascinating reporting the Wall Street Journal.
Like, that's a really cool story. Apparently, maybe not. I don't know. Maybe there was something else going on.
John Jurgensen, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Really wonder. Could be maybe a psychotic break thing. But I don't know. Doesn't really seem like it to me, based on what I've heard, seen. Jailani Hussein, executive director of the Minnesota chapter of the Nonprofit Council on American Islamic Relations, CARE, said his group has received reports that ICE agents don't appear to be regularly documenting stops where they check U.S. citizen documents and then release the people they've detained. So they're just... What? Failing to see the problem. Marco posts a new picture of him staring at his shoes. They must be the shoes that Trump bought him. They're very nice shoes. The picture is not terribly flattering to his height. I will say that. I would not have chosen this picture if I were Marco, which I am not, thankfully. Not have to deal with that. Panic as Chernobyl's $2 billion radiation shield cracks open. Oh, how fun. Little Christmas surprise. The new safe confinement unit, I guess, shield, there you go, was constructed over Reactor 4. I don't know when they finished construction on it, but the disaster happened in 1986. Oh, by the way, if you've never seen the limited series, Chernobyl, highly recommend. Damn good. Damn good. Forget who did that. It might be Netflix, so that sucks. Unfortunately, I imagine most of you have canceled Netflix by now, due to all their bullshit. If you're like me, you get Netflix for free thanks to T-Mobile, so I'm good. I don't have to feel bad about watching it. Yeah. But if you ever do have the chance to watch it, it is a excellent series. Excellent series. One of the best. Oh, HBO Max. You can get it on HBO Max. There you go. I guess it's not Netflix. It was HBO. Dang, they rate that at 9.3. Damn. That is absolute must-see territory right there. But let's see what the latest on this is. Chernobyl's shield busted open. How this happened? It was a Russian drone strike. I hear the Ruskies are striking the shield, apparently. I don't know, like, that seems kind of stupid, but well, whatever. You do you, Ruskies. You do you. Okay. Wow, there's like surprisingly little discussion about it.
The UN's nuclear watchdog says a protective shield at the Chernobyl nuclear disaster site in Ukraine can no longer confine radiation. Now, the massive steel structure was severely damaged after a drone strike in February. Ukraine blamed it on Russia, which the Kremlin denied. The IAEA says temporary repairs have been carried out, but it recommends a major renovation. The structure was completed in 2019, decades after the power plant suffered the worst nuclear disaster in history. Joining me now to discuss all of this is Mariana Bujarin. She is a senior researcher with the Center for Nuclear Security Policy at MIT's Security Studies program. And I really thank you for joining us. Given the IAEA's assessment, I mean, we are all wondering at this point, how much danger could this pose to people, not just in Ukraine, but beyond, obviously?
The idea there was that should something happen to the tons of nuclear material that are still contained in the basements of that reactor, there's about 170 tons of molten nuclear fuel. Should there be a release from that material, if it somehow starts going critical again, or there's some works conducted on it that kind of disturbs it, removing it from there, then the structure should contain the radiation release. So my understanding is there isn't an immediate danger of radiation leaking out of there, but certainly the purpose for which this structure, very expensive structure too, was built, is being undermined.
The UN's nuclear watchdog says a protective shield at the Chernobyl.
Yikes. Tory leader Kemi Badenoch says Trump shouldn't sue the BBC for defamation because British taxpayers will pay the penalty if the US president wins the case. Why should he give a shit about that? That sounds like a you problem. Not an us problem.
Given Trump is using your words to try to get £10 billion out of the BBC, are you a bit embarrassed by that?
No, because I spoke the truth. I mean, that documentary was wrong. I'm not going to say it was right to protect the BBC, but he shouldn't be suing the BBC because he's not really suing the BBC. He's suing us. It's British taxpayers who pay it. The BBC doesn't have any money except the money that we pay in the license fee and in taxes. Keir Starmer says that he's got a great relationship with Donald Trump, so let's see if that's true. He should be using that relationship to talk him down.
Do you hope the BBC wins the case?
I'm not sure if that case is ever going to see the light of day. I mean, Donald Trump starts suing a lot of people, but doesn't actually finish suing.
But if it does?
So I don't think it will. Of course, I want the BBC to win in some way, but unfortunately, the BBC did do something wrong.
In some way? So you slightly caveated that.
What do you mean?
You said I hope the BBC win, and then you added.
Well, I don't want them paying any money, so I don't know what winning looks like. I don't want my money going to pay for the BBC's mistakes, and so that's what I want to see. That's the key thing.
Laura Loomer is engaged with someone whose face she will not show. Looks old. Oh yeah, that's an old dude. That's why she ain't showing it. That is a nice ring though. I'll give her that. That is a freaking banging ring. Look at that thing. Look at that thing. Jeez, Laura, that is almost obscene. The whole dang thing, all the way around. Yeah. Oh, she got her money bags, I guess. Okay. Donald Trump has once again shown his utter lack of decency and humanity by brazenly lying about Minnesota's Somali community tonight. Keith Ellison says last night. I can't wait for him to actually get caught up in this, because he will. He's done untold amounts of dirty shit. Guarantee it. One of the worst. Keith Ellison. U.S. government admits role in deadly midair collision that killed 67 frickin' people near D.C. airport. Oh, gee. Yeah. Black Hawk. Dulles collision. Or, pardon, Reagan. Going Reagan. Yep. Deadliest plane crash in the U.S. since November 2001. Oh, yeah, this is big news. I have to say, interesting timing. The day before the Epstein files are due, on the 19th. All of them, officially anyway. Now, today, all of a sudden, we have New York's Cardinal Timothy Dolan resigning. Pope Leo appoints pro-migrant Archbishop of New York, signaling church's more robust approach to Trump. Yep, Timothy Dolan's out. Long time. Turned 75 earlier this year. I don't know. Maybe he's just old and tired. Could be. But I think the timing's interesting. Especially considering he's, a New York guy. Oh, more Keith Ellison. A strong leader brings people together. A weak one scapegoats communities. You mean you scapegoat white people literally every day of your life? You fuck. Get out. Minnesotans won't let Donald Trump turn us against our neighbors. We believe we all do better when we all do better. Wow, did you stay up all night thinking of that? And that's something Trump will never understand. Trump admin is seeking to strip more foreign-born U.S. citizens of their citizenship, with a goal of pursuing cases against 100 to 200 each month. Yes! More than that, please. More than a couple hundred. Bump that up to like 1,000 to 2,000, and then we're talking. I mean, more than that even. 10,000. Why not 10 to 20,000? Shit. CNN just had a Harvard expert tell Democrats they can't spin President Trump's latest inflation victory.
It was a better number than
Boy, that's quiet. Hardly hear that one.
anyone was expecting. Look, inflation's been very high. It's stayed high. It has not been coming down. But, you know, people were expecting it to be above 3%. It was well below 3%. I mean, I think the president will take this as good news. The investors will think that interest rates will get cut more. So, you know, it was a positive news. There's no other way to spin it.
Absolutely.
It was a better number than anyone.
Could hardly hear any of that. Hopefully you guys caught most of it. Head of major New Jersey LGBTQ group resigns after being charged with assaulting foster son. Every time. Every fucking time, man. Every time you see these people adopting children, foster or otherwise, you can see it. Just look at him. Demonize. Ugh. Let me see if we can find more details on this one. What's his name? Christian Fuscarino. What a name. Oh, wow. Got quite an online history, it looks like.
The longtime leader of New Jersey's largest LGBTQ plus advocacy group,
Of course.
has resigned.
Every time.
Following criminal charges. Christian Fuscarino stepped down as executive director of Garden State Equality this week after being charged with child endangerment and assault, stemming from an incident last month at his Neptune City home. According to a statement,
Tell us more about the incident, please.
on social media, Fuscarino describes the situation as a private family matter and said,
Oh, really?
everyone involved is safe. Court documents allege Fuscarino pulled a child out of bed and struck them multiple times during an incident that was captured on home security video.
Oh, so it's like that, huh?
He faces a second-degree charge of endangering the welfare of a child, along with 2 counts of simple assault. In an online statement, Garden State Equality said he was placed on leave once the charges became known. The organization has named staff member Brielle Winslow Majed as acting executive.
What other abuse has taken place? Disgusting. Thank you to A.G. Ellison for fighting to make our streets safer by keeping all the Somalis here. Yes, that'll do it. Says Mayor Jacob Free. Because of your work, Kia and Hyundai are taking concrete steps to address vehicle theft. Oh my god, is this like parody at this point? Like, what the fuck? He's applauding Keith Ellison for fighting to make our streets safer by working with Kia and Hyundai to stop vehicle theft, which is rampant on Kias and Hyundais because of like TikTok. These freaking kids from certain communities just share the trick for these Kias, and I think some Hyundais too, on how to forget how they. I think you just basically just use a screwdriver and just jam it in there and turn it. That's it. It's crazy. So somehow that's going to make our streets safer by working with Kia and Hyundai to make it more difficult for them to boost cars rather than, I don't know, deporting the fuck out of them. Ridiculous. And or jailing them if they're citizens. You know, we could do that. Certainly a problem amongst the African American community. Not just the Somalis. Youth is cooked, especially in Minnesota. Oh, God.
Do you support ICE?
Fuck no.
Oh, hell no. No, I don't. I do not.
Get ICE out of Minneapolis right now.
Get ICE out of Minneapolis. I do not like ICE. Okay, why is that? Because they're going above everyone's rights. It's like, why do we have ICE here? Like, everyone has a right to be here because...
No, but they don't at all.
Because the United States is a place where, like, immigrants are people here. Like, it's freedom here.
Brain slop.
Bro.
Oh, God. There's nothing left up there. It's just sloshing around.
U.S. was built on immigration. Like, I mean, everybody deserves to live, I feel like.
Okay, what do you say to the people in comments? ICE is just following the law. Everyone should support them. I don't support that because ICE is something that no one should support. Because ICE is something that it's just bad. Like
in weed brain.
Like nothing else. Like I think ICE is something that nothing should support because the United States is built on
this is your brain on drugs.
Immigration. Okay.
I agree. Yeah. I don't really got much to add to that. But
yeah. And what was the last illegal thing you did?
Illegal?
Marijuana.
Illegal thing?
Marijuana, possibly some ketamine. Maybe a benzo.
Nothing. I guess the last illegal thing I did was like jaywalking, I guess.
I smoked right before I came here.
Knew it. Called that shit.
I guess that's legal right now, though. So.
Caught up with Rip Ilhan Omar, who has been attacked by irate bigots. This fucktard. Pardon me. I know I'm dropping the F-bombs everywhere tonight. Pablo Manriquez. So brave. He wears a mask.
So we are here with Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. Congresswoman, tell us what was the weekend like in Minnesota? Tell us the latest on what's going on with the immigration raids, and how is the community fighting back, or how is the community resisting Trump's mass deportations?
Yeah, I mean, we continue to see ICE come into neighborhoods, to restaurants, to places of worship, trying to terrorize the community. But our neighbors are showing up in mass. And Somali Americans have shown like true resilience and bravery.
Smelly Americans.
In the face of these massive attacks.
Oh, and believe me, they smell.
And how have you been? Like, obviously, you've been attacked personally. Your family's been attacked. Your family, I think your son was actually detained. How are you coping with this situation?
He wasn't detained. He was just stopped.
Oh, sorry.
We're good. I'm good. My kids are tough cookies. And you know they remain calm and resilient as I do.
You've been through so much since you've been in Congress. So many threats have gone to your office. How do you keep? What is the secret, I guess, to your resiliency?
I just stay focused on the mission. The mission is to serve the people of the Fifth.
The secret is probably all that dirty Somali cash that she gets to line her pockets with in the walls of her home, I'm sure. Okay, Australian police just foiled a possible Islamic terror attack just days after the Bondi Beach attack. Yep.
There was news overnight, Australian police conducting a huge operation in a suburb of Sydney, only days after the terror attack in Bondi Beach nearby. Agents acted on new intel suggesting another possible violent plot, but they have not identified an immediate link to the ongoing investigation. In Sydney for us, Steve Harrigan chasing down all of these leads and joins us now. Steve, hello.
Bill, Australia's counter-terror police are in action in a very big way in a suburb of Sydney. In heavily outfitted tactical gear, they rammed 2 vehicles, detained 7 men they say were planning a violent attack on the way here to Bondi Beach to carry out an attack. But police saying there is no connection at this point between those plans and the attack that did take place here on Sunday. In the meantime, as funerals continue for the 15.
There was news overnight. Australian police conducting a huge operation in a suburb of Sydney. All
right. Next. Trump admin threatening the European Union after they fined X and Elon Musk $140 million and other U.S. tech companies.
Was that it lags on innovation. You know, we had the EU put out the Mario Draghi report a year or 2 ago talking about how, what a lack of innovation they have and high regulation. So there's incentive on the EU side. On the U.S. side, there are a number of types of investigations that we could conduct to look into this and potentially take action. President Trump's been talking about this for several months, so this is not a new issue, unfortunately. And even before that, we've been dealing with it for years.
So, but in terms of what happens next, and assuming the EU says talk to the hand, which they could, are we talking just about fines? Are we talking about a different tariff regime? How are you thinking about this?
So this past summer, we issued a joint statement with the European Union on a variety of topics. One of those topics was about having fairness and non-discrimination in digital trade. I was in Brussels a couple of weeks ago, and I spoke with counterparts over there, and several of them just really refused to engage on this topic. I'm happy to engage with them. The United States is happy to engage with them. We've been trying for many years to do so, and they've not been responsive. So we have tools like Section 301, which is an investigatory tool that is designed to have a negotiated outcome. I don't think we're in a world where we want to have some, renewed trade fight or something with the EU. That's not what we're talking about. We want to finish off our deal and implement it. But this is something that's really important, and we need to deal with it. We need to deal with it quickly. It'll be better for the EU and for us to have it resolved.
One of the things I wanted to ask you about was
Okay. Oh, yeah, this was nuts, man. The frozen pond incident in Illinois. Officers had to go rescue these 3 people whose car somehow ended up plunging through the ice on a frozen pond. To rescue them.
What's on? Hang tight, okay? Hang tight, hang tight.
This morning, watch dramatic body camera video showing the moment Illinois police officers raced to save 3 people trapped in the frigid water of a frozen pond. Glendale Heights police responding to reports that a car crashed into the frigid waters outside of Chicago. Air temperature the coldest of the season so far, just 1 degree.
There's a vehicle that drove into a pond. 3 subjects, possibly in the water.
Officers Dennis Dachura and Marco Lamibao rushing to the scene, finding the vehicle submerged in 12 to 14 feet of water as the passengers struggle to get out of the car and out of the pond.
We started to see, people's hands in the water were reaching out for air or for just to stay afloat.
Oh, grab this map. The responding officers braving the slippery ice and frigid water, even using shovels to help the victims stay afloat. At one point, they retrieve a sledgehammer to move the thick ice and reach down to the victims.
Reach up. Reach up. Come on. Come on.
The 2 then working together to pull each victim out of the pond and up onto the ice.
At that point, it was life or death, and we both decided to choose life, and we're not going to let anything happen on our end.
Those are the guys you want coming to help you. The driver was charged for driving under the influence, but because of the heroic efforts of those officers, everybody was okay.
Okay. Sorry, 1 second. All right. Hakeem Jeffries whining about Trump's speech.
Democrats, Republicans, Independents do not support another foreign war. We got big problems in this.
They were convinced it was something about Venezuela.
country, the cost of living is out of control. And Donald Trump did promise that he was going to lower costs on day one. Of course, that hasn't happened. Costs haven't gone down. Costs are going up. Housing costs are out of control. Healthcare costs out of control. Grocery costs out of control. Even electricity costs, utility bills right now, skyrocketing out of control. There's a lot of things to be focused on in terms of making life better for working class Americans, middle class Americans, and everyday Americans. The last thing in the world that we need is another foreign war that inevitably ends in disaster. Democrats, Republicans, Independents do not support another foreign war.
Okay. Got that one wrong. Colonel Timothy Dolan announces his resignation.
I've gotten to know him, and I already love him and appreciate him and trust him. Is there sadness in my heart? Sure, because I love the Archdiocese of New York. That sadness is mitigated by the gift that this new Archbishop already is. I've gotten to know.
Well, it doesn't sound like it. I mean, pro-migrant, oh joy. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese announced plans for new hate speech laws and invoked the slogan, "Diversity is our strength," at a press conference following the Bondi Beach incident. God.
When you come to Australia, you are here to support our society.
Or shoot it up with guns, I mean.
Of which is diverse, but that diversity is a strength. And that is what overwhelmingly Australians want to see. When you come to Australia, you are here to support our society of...
Yeah. Pete Hegseth.
1776. As you know, our great nation was founded in the crucible of revolution in that year. Now, as we enter the Christmas season some 250 years later, we are proud to provide 1776 with a whole new modern meaning for our joint force. As he announced to the nation last night, thanks to President Trump's unwavering commitment to our warriors and the provisions provided in the One Big Beautiful Bill, more than 1.45 million service members will, in the coming days, receive a one-time tax-free bonus of $1,776. This has never happened before. Every member of our military, E1 to 06. We're calling it the Warrior Dividend, a direct investment in the brave men and women who carry on the legacy of our armed forces every single day. This Warrior Dividend serves as yet another example of how the War Department is working to improve the quality of life for our military personnel and their families. I can think of no better Americans to receive this check right before Christmas. Whether it's for pay, housing, faith support, all elements of what we're doing are to rebuild our military. So to the American warrior, President Trump and I and the entire War Department, we have your back. We thank you for your service. And we thank you for your sacrifice. We love you and your families, and we wish you a very Merry Christmas.
In the fresh produce section, bag, like along the wall. Yeah. It's like right by where all the peppers are. Sorry. Grocery list. Okay. First Assistant U.S. Attorney Joe Thompson provides major update on fraud in Minnesota. That's kind of long.
Instance of what's essentially a $1 million question, that's the $18 billion question. The answer is far too much, and the task ahead of all of us is not only figuring out how much of that money was fraud, because we know a significant amount was, but figuring out how to put an end to the fraud in our state and get control of it. So let me end with this before I take questions. The magnitude of the fraud in Minnesota cannot be overstated. The staggering amounts of money that have been lost. But it's not just about the money that's been stolen and wasted. This is a problem that's caused all of us to question what kind of state we live in. I think it's eroded our sense of collective statewide self-esteem and confidence. It's caused a state, we have a state, as I've said before, that has long taken pride in having a strong economy, good schools, beautiful lakes, mini parks, and a sense of community spirit and civic mindedness. This fraud really calls into question all of that. And I know that it's been allowed to go on far too long. And we need to do whatever we can to stop it in its tracks. Thank you.
Joel, could you give us a bare minimum of how much of that 18 billion you suspect will turn out to be fraud?
I think a significant portion.
Joe, could you talk about how much you have charged in court connected to fraud you've uncovered? What's the dollar amount of that?
Well, we prosecute people, not dollars. Feeding Our Future, Amy Bach, the head of Feeding Our Future, was convicted of carrying out a $240 to $250 million fraud scheme. Several other defendants that were charged in what we call collectively as the Feeding Our Future case were actually not under the sponsorship of Feeding Our Future. So the very first quote-unquote Feeding Our Future trial was actually a group of individuals that owned Empire Cuisine and Market and other related companies. They carried out a $49 million fraud, almost all of which was under the sponsorship of another entity. Similarly, a case called United States versus Haji Salad, which charged 7 or 8 defendants with carrying out a $25 million fraud scheme under the sponsorship of Partners in Nutrition. So you do the math, $240, $250 million plus $50 million plus $25 million. That's well into the $300 millions just in the federal child nutrition program fraud scheme. These other programs here, housing stabilization, autism now between 6 and 14, that's $20 million that's charged in the autism program so far. Housing stabilization, I haven't done the math, but it's well over 10 that's charged now. And obviously that's just this team's efforts. There's other prosecutions going on that have been flagged for many people. Evergreen Recovery is a case you may recall that I think was $30 million involving rehabilitation or drug and alcohol treatment. Wow. So it's a significant amount.
Joe, also, like Hassan fit into 2 buckets.
Well, Hassan's the one that's been charged with and now convicted of both buckets, but many defendants in these cases were getting money from multiple government benefit programs, many Medicaid programs. This is how these investigations grew out of Feeding Our Future. I think roughly 24 or so Feeding Our Future defendants were getting money from autism clinics, and that's why we got caught. That's how we learned about the autism fraud. And if you look at the bank records, many of which were admitted into evidence at trial, you'll see many other healthcare companies from which charged defendants and convicted defendants were receiving funds.
And when we talk about the benefits for sentencing plea day, the government talked about somewhere between $9 and $25 million she was on her shoulders of smart therapy, restitution coming in at $15.9 million. These numbers are all over the place. Can you explain why it's 9 to 25 or 7?
Well, 9 to 25 is the sentencing guideline range. There's an enhancement based on the loss amount, and one of the sort of windows of loss amount is between 9 million and 25 million. So that's just a product of how the sentencing guidelines are. The 14 or whatever million she owes, that's a combination of the money she fraudulently received from the EIDBI program and the federal child nutrition program. Again, normally often media will ask about the loss amount or how much have you prosecuted. When we prosecute people, not dollars. Our forensic accountants can answer some of this, but we're focused mostly on not only charging defendants. The reason we charge defendants is to stop them from committing fraud. So housing stabilization, maybe we've charged $10 or $15 million worth of fraud in terms of those individual defendants. But of course, the state shut down the program that was costing more than $100 million a year. So does the prosecutor get credit for that? That's for other people to decide.
So it's taken 4 years to get to where you are today. How long is it going to take to get to $1 billion worth of charges? Or $2 billion worth of charges? A year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years?
As long as it takes.
I wanted to confirm that the 14 programs that have been designated as being high risk, these are not programs that the federal law enforcement agencies are actively investigating.
We'll stop there and keep going, but man, a lot of money. Yeah. Photos from Epstein's estate released by House Democrats show Bill Gates posing for a photograph with a woman whose face has been redacted. They appear to be in a hotel or an airport. I believe an airport. Probably a small private plane, you know, general aviation airport. You can see this behind him. Appears to say flight support on the door. Ah, yeah, I heard about this. This is fascinating. I was just there the other night. Like, what? Kennedy Center board just voted overwhelmingly to rename the Kennedy Center to the Trump Kennedy Center. Huh. The vote is because of the unbelievable work President Trump has done over the last year in saving the building, not only from the standpoint of its reconstruction, but also financially and its reputation. Based on what I saw last night, I'd agree. Congratulations to President Donald J. Trump, and likewise congratulations to President Kennedy, because this will be a truly great team long into the future. The building will no doubt attain new levels of success and grandeur. Nice. Really is quite a building. Just like look at the scale of that thing. It's amazing. Freaking huge it is. Up close and personal. Gigantic. Inside and out. Amazing. Sanctuary City, Fairfax County, Virginia. My one and only home. Ignores another ICE detainer, and the illegal alien released back into the community commits cold-blooded murder mere hours later. Wow.
ICE is telling us not only was this suspect illegally in the country, they had put a detainer
Wow.
on him that was not honored. In addition, it turns out he's been charged with multiple crimes in the past, including murder, seemingly with no consequences. Police spent a long time investigating at the home where this happened on Wednesday afternoon, and there are a lot of questions about why the crime was ever allowed to happen and why the suspect was free.
This is very shocking, you know, that this happened in a neighborhood that's supposed to be safe.
Brian Del Cid lives very close to the home where the homicide happened. He says what's also shocking is that suspected shooter Marvin Morales Ortez had just been released from jail less than 24 hours before allegedly using this gun to shoot and kill a man.
It is very upsetting that he literally just got out yesterday.
Police remained on the scene investigating Wednesday night. The crime happened inside this home on Fanshell Court in Reston. Until Tuesday, Morales Ortez had been in jail facing charges for allegedly brandishing a gun and assaulting and injuring someone. He was released when the Fairfax County Commonwealth's Attorney's Office decided to drop the case. They told us in a statement, prosecutors were unable to move forward with the case because the victim told police that they were out of the country and would not be coming to court to cooperate in proceedings. Sadly, without the victim's necessary testimony, we could not move forward with the case. But this is not the first time the County Commonwealth's Attorney's Office has chosen not to press charges against Morales Ortez. Court records indicate since 2020, he's been charged with at least 7 crimes, including first-degree murder back in 2021.
Wow.
And every single time but one, prosecutors at some point decided not to move forward. The one time he was found guilty for a theft, he was fined, but records show he never paid it.
House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries is demanding that Democrat members of Congress refuse to support the bill to ban congressional stock trading. Corrupt as it gets, mask off. You bet. The greatest Secretary of State Marco Rubio. I'd largely agree with that. He's been probably like the best appointment that Trump made. Maybe aside from Tom Homan, you know, he's been excellent. I mean, just a crazy amount of work this guy's doing. May end up doing Dan Bongino's job too at this point. Like shit. Secretary of State Marco Rubio just unleashed on 2 international criminal court judges, sanctioning them over their illegitimate targeting of Israel and Israeli nationals. The ICC is pretty whacked out, just generally speaking. Very friendly to the U.S. Rand Paul on what? Let's see.
You don't approve of the boat strikes. We got that.
Oh, the boats.
But are you okay with strangling Maduro's cash flow with an oil blockade?
Well, you know, if you want to go to war with another country, our founding fathers anticipated that, and they said that it would be declared by Congress. The power was never given to presidents to begin war. This certainly looks like a massive armada, a massive amount of military force, and if bombs begin dropping on Venezuela, or there's an invasion, or essentially a blockade, which is an act of war, there really should be a vote by Congress. But you can't simply say, oh, we designate these people to be terrorists. Realize that the boats that are being blown up, about 1 in 4 boats that are interdicted by the Coast Guard don't have any drugs on them. So there's a 25% error rate, and there is no evidence these people are armed. We have never in our past decided just to shoot smugglers who are unarmed without even proof that they're smuggling anything. So I think this is a horrendous thing and should stop. I think it's illegal and immoral.
Do you include the embargo, not the embargo, with the oil tankers, the blockade? You opposed to the blockade as well?
Well,
probably.
Our government says they're just not allowed to sell their oil, so it's illegal according to our laws, but not illegal according to their laws.
What? How many shits are we supposed to give about that exactly?
So I don't like it. I think it's a provocation, and I think it's a prelude to war. I think war should be something we do in self-defense when we have to go to war, when we were attacked on 9/11, when we were attacked in World War II. But for the most part, these wars of choice or wars of offense, I don't think are a good idea. I mean, I'm not for sending, you know, the kids I know in the military, I'm not for sending them down there to die for oil. The president announced the other day he's going back there to seize our land, our oil, and they've been ripping us off by taking our oil. That made no sense at all. And somebody, before you go to war, ought to at least say or explain what they mean by they're saying the Venezuelans are stealing our oil. What do they mean by that kind of comment?
Oh my goodness. Brutal moment for Democrats as CNN is forced into covering their record low approval rating of minus 55 points.
In the minds of the American public are lower than the Dead Sea. What are we talking about here? Well, let's take a look. The net approval rating for Democrats in Congress, you said it, Kate Baldwin, the lowest ever. Look at this. Overall, they are 55 points underwater. Their approval rating is south of 20%. It's even worse when you look at independents. Look at this. Negative 61 points. That means that their approval rating is 61 points lower than their disapproval rating. Quinnipiac has been polling this question for the better part of the 21st century. They have never found Democrats, at least those in Congress, in worse shape than they are right now.
Wow. Dr. Oz on ending the transgender procedures for kids.
American taxpayers should not have to foot the bill for ideologically driven experiments on our nation's youth, and hospitals that we deem must meet the minimum quality standards of care and safety should not be conducting these experiments when we know so little about what is happening with our youth. Now the important part. For these reasons, and I can go on and on, this document, the white paper that Secretary commissions over 300 pages long, we're taking major steps at CMS to stop a funding process that has led to irreversible medical interventions with 2 major actions. The first, we're announcing a notice of proposed rulemaking that ends taxpayer funding of sex-rejecting procedures for children in Medicaid and SHIP, full stop. We don't provide health care to every child, but at 53%, we've got most, and we're not going to let taxpayer money go to hurt these children, and those children will no longer be hurt with this ideology.
Nope. Come back here.
Today, the FDA is taking action. We are sending warning letters to 12 manufacturers and retailers for illegal marketing of breast binders for children for the purposes of treating gender dysphoria. Breast binders are a Class 1 medical device with legitimate medical users, such as being used by women after breast cancer surgery. And these binders are not benign. Long-term usage has been associated with pain, compromised lung function from atelectasis collapse, and even difficulty breastfeeding later in life.
Oh, wow.
The warning letters will formally notify the companies of their significant regulatory violations and require prompt corrective action. Today, the FDA is taking action. We are sending warning letters.
Doctors assume a solemn obligation to protect children. Yet doctors across the country now provide needless and irreversible sex-rejecting procedures that violate their sacred Hippocratic oath by endangering the very lives that they are sworn to safeguard. The American Medical Association, the American Academy of Pediatrics, peddled the lie that chemical and surgical sex-rejecting procedures could be good for children who suffer from gender dysphoria. They betrayed the estimated 300,000 American youth ages 13 to 17, conditioned to believe that sex can be changed. They betrayed their Hippocratic oath to do no harm. So-called gender-affirming care has inflicted lasting physical and psychological damage on vulnerable young people. This is not medicine, it is malpractice. We're done with junk science driven by ideological pursuits, not the well-being of children. A peer-reviewed report published by the HHS Office of the Assistant Secretary for Health last month confirms that sex-rejecting procedures impose medical dangers and lasting harm on children who receive these interventions. So today we are taking 6 decisive actions, guided by gold standard science and the week 1 executive order from President Trump to protect children from chemical and surgical mutilation. This morning I signed a declaration: sex-rejecting procedures are neither safe nor effective treatment for children with gender dysphoria.
Okay.
Donald Trump just had prime time. He interrupted the season finale of Survivor.
So what? Ew. So what?
Okay, we're talking about more than 5 million people that are watching that on CBS tonight. The president
retards everyone. Every single one.
Interrupted that and was able to deliver essentially a campaign speech. That is not what address.
I don't know. Who watches that slop anymore?
It's like this. You know this from the White House. It is usually for a major domestic or international incident or announcement. That was not.
It is usually for a major international event, and White Houses have to make pitches. I remember quite well when the networks rejected Barack Obama's request and our request from the White House to air a speech on immigration that actually had policy in it. But usually you have to meet a certain bar in order to get that time. And I assume there's going to be a lot of meetings in these networks tomorrow morning about whether or not to do that again. If they ask again, we will see.
Oh, here's Tish James, fresh off her public meltdown yesterday.
Hello, everyone. It's Tish James. I want to speak directly to the transgender community, especially to our young people and their families who count on gender affirming.
Oh, wait, no, the meltdown was Fanny. Sorry, I take that back. I mean, she does her own, but...
care. I know this latest proposal from this administration to cut access to gender-affirming care for many youth is frightening. Whether you live in Brooklyn, Binghamton, Buffalo, or anywhere else in New York, and even if you don't live in New York, I will not let this administration come for you. your doctors, or your life-saving health care. As of now, nothing has changed. Your health care is still legal and protected.
Wrong.
And your doctors cannot cut off your access to gender-affirming care based on the administration's reckless proposal. And most importantly, I want you to know that you're not alone. I am right here with you.
Most importantly, I want you to know that you are, in fact, gay.
And I'm sending
You are not transgender.
love
You're just confused.
to each and every one of you. So please, stay strong, my friends, and enjoy the holiday.
46% of Minnesota voters say they plan to vote for a Republican in next year's gubernatorial election, compared to 40% who say they will vote for Governor Tim Walz. Oh, snap. That's not looking so good for old Timmy. I bet they've had it up there. They end up seeing Mike Lindell. Wild as that would be. President Trump has the Oval Office cracking up at his marijuana executive order signing. Oh, gosh.
Are younger than 65, so this does not pertain to me. Thank you. I don't want it, okay? I'm not going to be taking it, but a lot of people...
I don't want the marijuana.
People do want it. A lot of people...
It's not for me.
People need it, and thank you, Howard, for really opening a lot of eyes. Okay, we'll sign it. We'll take some questions from the press. You could ask the doctor some questions. And it's an honor to do this. That's a good one.
That's a good one. He's pleased with his signature. Oh, gosh. So funny. Trump just threw Democrats into a panic, calling them out for being owned by, big rich insurance.
Extend these ACA subsidies.
Well, I'd like not to be able to do it. I'd like to get right into this.
I wonder how much the insurance companies are donating to a certain party.
And I'd ask Oz this question in particular, but I'd like to see us get right into this. I don't know why we have to extend. This could be done rapidly if the Democrats would come along. We have a problem. The insurance companies own the Democrat Party. They own it. And the Democrats having a hard time. They give a lot of money to the Democrats. Very little money to Republicans, by the way. A lot of money to Democrats. And they're going to have to decide, do they want to do the right thing, or do they want to be beholden to the insurance companies? They're making a fortune. I want the money to go to the people. Go ahead, Oz. How would you say that?
I agree with the president. We have some ideas out there. Congress is working through some concepts. But I just want to emphasize that the ACAs are not imploding based on the data we just received from the federal marketplace.
Extend these ACA subsidies.
Okay, Trump just said he's considering declaring a national housing emergency. No shit. Well, that would be a step in the right direction. At least an indication they're thinking about trying to fix things. They need to get that, they need to get significant progress put down, well before midterms. They don't have very much time to make visible strides on this.
On housing, you talked in your address last night about housing. Yeah. Are you still considering a national emergency over housing?
I'm looking at it.
What would that mobilize?
There's two thoughts on housing. You have a lot of people have housing that because we have such a strong time and such a strong market, their houses are very valuable. It's a big part of their net worth, their house. I don't want to knock those numbers down because I want them to continue to have a big value for the house. At the same time, I want to make it possible for young people out there and other people to buy housing. In a way, they're at conflict. In other words, you create a lot of housing all of a sudden, and
I'd like to buy a house, please.
Drives the housing prices down. So I want to take care of the people that have houses that have a value to, to the house that they never thought possible, that have sort of made them wealthy and happy, and especially in their later years. Got to be careful with that. I want to keep them up. At the same time, I want to make it possible for people to go buy houses.
What made you think of the 1776 bonuses for troops?
Yeah, what made you want to get back to
Well, 1776 was easy to come up with because we're actually at 1775. The number was 1775, and I said,
It's funny, it just happened to be that close.
wow, I think we can afford one more dollar. But they came up to me, it was $1,775. So I said, well, let's add a dollar to it. I think we can find that. And very simple. We've had a military that, in my opinion, by other presidents, was not treated well. They're incredible. They're our finest people. They're protecting us. And because of tariffs, we're taking in billions and billions of dollars more than we ever have.
Yeah, what made you want to get back to
Well, 1776 was easy to come up with.
Will you seek congressional authorization for any land attacks on cartels in Venezuela?
Mr. President, will you be seeking any authorization from Congress for any land attacks on cartels in Venezuela?
For anyone?
For any land attacks on drug cartels in Venezuela?
I wouldn't mind telling him, but it's not a big deal. I don't have to tell him. It's been proven. But I wouldn't mind at all. I just hope they wouldn't leak it. People leak it. They are politicians and they leak like a sieve. But I have no problem doing that.
Mr. President.
Yes, please.
Mr. President. Mr. President, will you be seeking any authorization from Congress for any?
Oh yeah, private jet crash. The NASCAR guy, retired NASCAR driver, Greg Biffle. Almost certainly dead. Unconfirmed reports that he and his family were on board. Oh. Yep. There they are. Oh. 14-year-old daughter and 6-year-old son and wife. Trump on the Kennedy Center renaming.
I was honored by it. The board is a very distinguished board, most distinguished people in the country. And I was surprised by it. I was honored by it. We're saving the building. We saved the building. The building was in such bad shape, both physically, financially, and every other way. And now it's very solid, very strong. We have something going on television, I guess on the 23rd of December. I think it's going to get very big ratings. And the Kennedy Center is really back strongly. It's in very bad shape, very, very bad shape physically. And we're also to get Congress to put up a lot of money and other people to put up a lot of money. We had a lot of donors come in for record-setting numbers, so we saved the Kennedy Center. And I was really, this was brought up by one of the very distinguished board members, and they voted on it. And there's a lot of board members, and they voted unanimously. So I was very honored by it. Thank you. I was honored by it. The board is a very distinguished board.
Coldplay Kiss Cam. Oh yeah, that whole debacle. HR boss Kristen Cabot appears to partially blame High Noon for the viral video. What? Booze? The booze that you drank?
Yeah. Oh, look at these two. All right, come on. You okay? Oh, what?
She's blaming High Noon.
Either they're having an affair or...
I mean, they are fairly tasty.
It's very shy.
You can knock them back without realizing how many you're drinking. But that kind of sounds like it's your fault. I'm not some celebrity. I'm just a mom from New Hampshire. Even if I did have an affair, it's not anybody's business. Well, except for, your family. It has been like a scarlet letter. People erased everything I had accomplished in my life and achieved in my career This can't be the final word. Oh, it is. We were just dancing. I had a few high noons, vodka seltzers in a can. Andy was standing behind me and we were dancing and I grabbed him. I didn't hear the announcement that the Jumbotron was coming, so suddenly I'm just seeing us on the screen. I think as a woman, as women always do, I took the bulk of the abuse. People would say things like, I was a gold digger. You mean you aren't? Could have fooled me.
Yeah.
Cabot also said she was upset that no one from Coldplay's team reached out to help turn down the heat that Martin had helped manufacture. Wow. I don't know how she thought this was going to play, but good Lord, what an idiot. Senator Mark Wayne Mullen erupts after Bernie Sanders blocks a bipartisan bill to give kids fighting cancer more treatment options.
Literally killing kids in front of us because of his political movement.
Yep.
And it is ridiculous.
Yep.
Therefore, Mr. President, I ask that the request be modified, that my amendment at the desk be considered and agreed to, the bill as amended be considered read a third time and passed, and the motions to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table.
Is there objection to the modification?
I reserve the right to object.
I recognize the senator from Oklahoma.
You know, Mr. President, everything that the senator from Vermont just wrote about was why I think he supported affordable health care, a.k.a. Obamacare. I thought it was supposed to fix all this stuff that he's wrote about, and we figured out it hasn't. It's wrecked the system. It's unaffordable for the American people. Yet it was the Democrats that sold us, or sold the American people on it. Not us, not the Republicans, sold the American people on it. It's been disastrous. And so now he wants to hold kids that are dying of rare diseases and pediatric cancer. Want to hold them hostage to now try to push his agenda farther and not go through the committee of jurisdiction, but hold the kids hostage. The kids. Everything the senator from Vermont just talked about was political. I'm talking about lives. I'm talking about giving kids a chance to live an extra day or a lifetime. That's what I'm talking about. This hasn't nothing to do with politics. Nothing. Nothing I'm talking about has to do with politics. This has to do with kids. Yet my senator from Vermont wants to make it about politics. You know, this time of the year at Christmas, we talk about Grinches all the time, right? They go in and they steal the kids' gifts. But at the end of the show, their hearts grow bigger and they give the gifts back. And they allow kids to be excited about Christmas morning. What's happened right here in front of us, the Grinch is stealing kids' lives. And they're stealing hope from the families. Hopes from the families that might have an opportunity just to try for a political agenda. And I hope to God that every single family that's going through this will hold the senator from Vermont accountable, and the state of Vermont will hold him accountable too, because he's playing with kids' lives. He's literally killing kids in front of us because of his political movement. And it is ridiculous. And therefore I object.
Ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. Disgusting. Okay. Trump announces the Patriot Games, a 4-day athletic event featuring one man and woman from each state and U.S. territory for America's 250th. That's going to be fun. Cool. Starting in 2029, the Oscars ceremony is moving to YouTube. Wow. Representing a new era for the awards show. It's the right move for them. It makes sense. Access to a much wider audience there than they would on network.
A big shift for Hollywood's biggest night. We're talking about the Oscars, which starting in about 4 years from now will no longer be on network TV. What? The show is heading to, wait for it, YouTube starting in 2029.
This deal is another major win for streamers and a big loss for ABC, which has broadcast the ceremony for much of its televised history. It also represents a new era for the Oscars, which has seen a steep decline in viewership in recent years.
In a statement released Wednesday,
another person of interest has been identified by police in the Brown University mass shooting. Okay. Sketchy. The heck are they doing? Creepy. All right, that's it. Nice neighborhood. Whoever they are, if they're smart, they are long gone. Way the heck out of that area. Minnesota now involved in adult daycare fraud.
The Inspector General in charge of stopping fraud at the Minnesota Department of Human Services says owners of adult daycares are paying kickbacks to steal clients from other adult daycares as part of a fraud scheme. Wow. DHS is freezing all new provider applications for adult day services for 2 years to get a grip on the fraud.
Dang.
The biggest red flag, over the last 5 years, the number of people using adult day services increased by 7%, but the number of providers increased by 43%. As the Inspector General said, if there isn't enough demand for legitimate business, fraudsters are motivated to drum up illegitimate business. I'm Luber Goose. Follow for more news. The Inspector General in charge...
Jeez.
Man, I had to come out and get gas tonight. This is the shit that we're having to deal with in Texas. Look at that. Can you believe that shit? Yeah, remember how things used to be? Quit your bitching.
Man. I would just be over the moon if I had $1.80 gas. Good Lord. Billionaire Ray Dalio and his wife Barbara will make a generous contribution of roughly $75 million to the Trump accounts, providing approximately $250 each for 300,000 children in Connecticut.
Ray Dalio and his wife Barbara pledging about $75 million to fund Trump accounts. His contribution to the investment accounts for kids comes months after speaking about partisan politics here on Fox and Friends.
The country is at war with two sides, the left, the right, and that is a difficult thing in our democracy because everybody's arguing and politics is standing in the way of making good decisions, and the idea of compromise, you know, that's out.
And Dalio is pledging $250 to roughly 300,000 accounts for kids in his home state of Connecticut. And those are your headlines. How charitable is that? Ray Dalio.
Unveiling the first ever national strategy for advanced air mobility.
Aviation is changing, and changing very quickly. And the question becomes, are we going to continue to lead in aviation? And we're going to look at eVTOLs and drones and supersonic flight. All are radically changing at this moment in time. And the country and the companies that are the greatest innovators are the ones that are going to win. So that's why we're here today. Today we're unveiling the first ever national strategy for advanced air mobility. Aviation is changing and changing. These are the vertical lift aircraft. It's like a drone, but for humans. If you haven't seen those, look it up on Google. They're remarkable. This is going to change the way products and people move in the country. It's going to revolutionize the airspace. Well, if you look at drones, Maria, we've lost the drone race to China, and now we're coming back to recompete with China in drones. We're not going to lose in this space. It's critically important that we develop this technology here and deploy it around the world, as opposed to others like China developing the technology and then America buying it from China. That's a national security risk. These are the...
Indeed. Thomas Massey on the Epstein Files Transparency Act.
Hi, this is Congressman Thomas Massey. We're about 48 hours from the day.
Quite a long video, 14 minutes. In this video, I'll tell you what to expect in advance of tomorrow's statutory disclosure deadline.
Hi, this is Congressman Thomas Massey. We're about 48 hours from the deadline for the Attorney General to produce all of the Epstein files according to the Epstein Files Transparency Act, which was signed on November 19th. So that makes the production of these materials in a publicly searchable format due on December 19th. And I wanted to talk about some of the things to look for and what we may be anticipating and some of the unique aspects of this project. Let's start out with, how will you know if they've released all the materials? Well, one of the ways we'll know is there are people who have covered this case for years, and I've talked to them in private, and they know what some of the material is that's back there. But the other way that we're going to know is the victims' lawyers have been in contact with me, and collectively they know there are at least 20 names of men who are accused of sex crimes in the possession of the FBI. These would reside in the FD 302 forms. The FBI fills out these forms to summarize or memorialize what a witness gave them as far as testimony when they interviewed with the FBI. So if we get a large production on December 19th and it does not contain a single name of any male who's accused of a sex crime or sex trafficking or rape or any of these things, then we know they haven't produced all the documents. It's that simple. So that's a good thing that we will know. One of the really novel things about the way we went about this, as opposed to my other experiences on the Oversight Committee or the Judiciary Committee, is that this is a law. It's not a subpoena. So what we've seen in the past is that Congress issues a subpoena to the executive branch, and the executive branch ties up in court and tries to delay and obfuscate, and they know that if they drag it to the end of Congress, that congressional subpoena expires at the end of Congress. And so the next Congress they would have to issue another subpoena. But what often happens is the majority changes, or the person in the White House is no longer there, or the person in that office is no longer there. And so there can't be any prosecution or criminal or anything like that carries on past the Congress. This is very different. This is a law. There's no expiration date on this law. So let's say you have an attorney general who is not in compliance with this law. By the way, the law specifies the Attorney General's office, not Attorney General Bondi specifically, but anybody who is in that office holding that seat. So if she were to leave, and let's say she's in non-compliance and has broken the law, then whoever gets in that seat is automatically obligated that day to release the files, because it's directing the office of the Attorney General to produce files from 3 different locations, by the way. The U.S. attorneys have material,
The FBI has material and the DOJ has material. Now, the DOJ will also have material, thankfully, from the grand jury investigations and trials. So but the interesting thing that I want to point out here is, let's say they try the old tactic of running the clock out until the end of this Congress, which is about a year from now. That won't work, because what can happen is a new attorney general can bring charges against a former attorney general. And so what you might see is that an attorney general under Trump, if they refuse to produce these documents in compliance with the law, which would be ironic because the attorney general is the chief law enforcement officer of the land, but if they refuse to produce these materials, then let's say whoever is the next president, their attorney general could bring charges, because the statute of limitations will not have run out on noncompliance with this law. It's unique. It's different than if there were a subpoena and Congress had referred the person in noncompliance with the subpoena for contempt to, and who do they refer it to? To the DOJ. And so that's why you can never get to the bottom of these cases when it's just a subpoena. But this is a law, and it will last for forever. The other interesting thing here in this case is we're already seeing progress as a result of this, the Epstein Files Transparency Act becoming Public Law 119-38. There were 3 courts of interest that had grand jury material, one in the Southern District of Florida, a judge there, and then 2 judges in the Southern District of New York. These are federal courts. They had previously said, because of Rule 6E of the criminal proceedings, that they could not give the grand jury material to the DOJ. Interestingly, after the Epstein Files Transparency Act passed, the DOJ did go back to these judges, and I'm going to assume it was sincere. Maybe it was an attempt to get them to say no, and in the hopes they would say no, but I'm going to assume they were sincere in the request from these judges. And what they did is they requested that the judges produce the grand jury material a second time. And in all 3 cases, in all 3 of those courtrooms, the judge said, yes, the Epstein Files Transparency Act, because it's a new law, it overrides the pre-existing general laws. So that's good. We've already seen movement. And another interesting thing we saw in those judges' rulings is that they said that they will redact, in accordance with the Epstein Files Transparency Act, information that would identify the victims. If you remember, in the 5 months of siege warfare we had trying to get this legislation through the House with Mike Johnson opposing us, he would repeatedly say that the release of this material would endanger victims. In fact, in the week before we passed it, he was still repeating that line. We had to keep pointing him back to the law and show him the chapter and verse where it says, no, redact the victims' names and identifying information. So we've seen movement from the grand juries. That is good news. Finally, there's an interesting aspect of this, in that Pam Bondi has said in her official capacity, but not necessarily under oath. By the way, if you say something to a TV camera in an interview and you lie, in Washington, D.C., that's okay. You can't be prosecuted for that. So we had her saying that there was tons of material on her desk and that she was in possession of it. And then she eventually changed her story to say that there's no material. The only thing that really exists anymore is child sexual abuse material, pornography, and that she wasn't going to release any of that. Well, we know that's not true. We know that she has more material, and she's going to have to produce that material. So that puts her in an interesting position. In order to comply with the law, she's going to have to prove, give proof, evidence that shows she wasn't forthcoming in her previous statements.
Oh my goodness.
Although that wouldn't necessarily be illegal. Again, in Washington, D.C., you're allowed to spin, and lie, and we've seen them do it before. But there's
a situation where it is illegal to lie, and that is when you come before Congress and give testimony. I'm sure you've all seen them. They raise their right hand and they swear that they are going to give the truth to the best of their ability, so help them God. And so we had Kash Patel do that in front of the Senate.
Yeah, okay, I think we get the point. I know we got more to get to, so we'll see tomorrow. New York Post cast. Former President Bill Clinton shocked his own aides ahead of Moroccan King Mohammed VI's 2002 wedding. Yep, by demanding to bring 2 unrelated +1s, Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell.
I'm about to tell you the never-before-reported story about former President Bill Clinton and how he asked Moroccan King Mohammed VI if he could bring a couple of pals along to the king's wedding. Jeffrey Epstein,
just a couple buddies,
and Ghislaine Maxwell. As one does, Clinton caught a ride on Epstein's Lolita Express private jet and then posed with the sex trafficking couple for a photo exclusively obtained by the Post. I will link to that photo in the show notes. Chelsea Clinton, who was studying at Oxford at the time, flew separately, but according to a source, insisted that the photo, which she is also in, be taken at this super fancy affair. Now, Hillary Clinton, then a New York senator, was not in attendance. This bizarre situation comes to light just as time is running out for the Department of Justice to make the Epstein files public, finally. Now, this unusual, if not rude, request to bring some +2s to the affair apparently didn't faze the king. Clinton, Epstein,
I'm sure not,
and Maxwell reportedly sat with the monarch at the fancy wedding dinner.
I bet they did. I bet they were more than friendly. All right, you guys got to check this one out. Oh my gosh. Just stumbled across this on the phone while that was playing. A white North Carolina man, Austin Herber, has just been charged with multiple hate crimes and kidnapping after 3 Hispanic men allegedly smashed their car into his truck and then tried to run away. At which point, of course, he tried to detain them because fuck that. Witnesses say Austin grabbed the men by the shoulders and forced them to lay on the ground until police arrived. He's charged with 2 counts of ethnic intimidation, whatever that is, and 4 counts of assault.
Police responded to this crash
after they crashed into him
by the intersection of Mac Todd Road and West Gannon Avenue early Sunday morning. You can see the black car is driving on the grass, loses control, and slams into the
probably drunk off their ass.
The white truck. Emma Lawson says she was sitting in the passenger seat in that truck.
And then they tried to ditch and run away to avoid, well, you know, getting deported. And probably, you know, the fact that they have no fucking insurance every gosh darn time.
And her friends were leaving the bar, Smash Masters.
I woke up and there was blood all over my legs and all over my face. And after that, I don't really know what happened other than hearing that the guys were trying to flee.
Police say there were 3 men in that black car, and the driver left the scene before they arrived. Wow. Austin Herber, the driver of the white truck that was hit, is facing several charges, including assault, kidnapping, ethnic intimidation, and the intention to terrorize others with a gun. The owner of Smash Masters, Jessica Thompson, believes these accusations couldn't be further from the truth.
When we pulled up, there was a girl on the ground, and Austin was out of the car, instructing the 2 individuals that were there from the other vehicle to stay on the ground and not to leave. He did ask where they came from and who they were.
Warren say Herber struck the men who were in the black car multiple times in the head, verbally threatened and assaulted them with a handgun, quote, because of their race, color, nationality, or country of origin. Thompson is...
That's only incidental. He was doing it because they were going to run to avoid immigration, which happens to align, happens to align with certain demographics. Okay, sure, but that ain't his fault.
Asking for clarity from the police department because she and several other witnesses say they disagree.
We never saw a gun. I never saw him hit them with a gun. The only thing I saw him do was come up to them and
take them by the shoulder and tell them to get back on the ground because those individuals were trying to leave the scene.
CBS 7
Trying to flee the scene to avoid getting deported. Let's tell the whole story. Not just leave.
News as
They weren't just trying to leave. They were trying to flee and avoid any repercussions.
Zealand Police Department about the claims of ethnic intimidation, as well as the charge to terrorize others with a gun, but they did not provide any clarity. The police department did tell us the driver of the black car who ran away, Juan Campos, was later found and cited
On Campos.
for failing to remain at the scene of an accident and failing to reduce to avoid a crash. We asked if speed
What about insurance? Did he have insurance?
or impaired driving was involved. That was also not addressed.
Of course it wasn't. This is disgusting. This is disgusting. What did he get charged with again?
Did tell us the driver of the black car who ran away, Juan Campos, was later found and cited for failing to remain at the scene of an accident and failing to reduce to avoid a crash.
That's it?
We asked if speed or
That's it?
impaired driving was involved.
Nothing for, I don't know, reckless driving, reckless endangerment, vehicular, attempted manslaughter. Who even fucking knows what else they could hit him with that they're not touching? Like, come on.
That was also not addressed.
Yeah, not to mention the likely impairment of the operator. What the heck, dude? Disgusting. In North Carolina, too, of all places, in the South. The frick. All right. Anyway, back to the stack here. Commerce Secretary Howard Lucky Nutlick, explains how drug prices can go down by 500 percentage points. Well, I mean, okay.
100%, the cost goes down to zero. If you cut it by 4, 5, or 600%, the drug companies are actually paying you to take their product. So it raises the question, how much of last night's speech was hyperbole and how much was fact?
No, what he's saying is you bring it, if a drug was $100 and you bring the drug down to $13, right? If you're looking at it from $13, it's down 7 times.
It's not a 600%.
Well, but it's 700% higher price before. It's down 700% now, right? So a $13 would have to go up 700% to get back to the old one. So it all depends on when you look at it. You could say it's down 87%, or you could say it would have to go up 700% to be the same one. So it just depends on what you look at it. But basically what he's saying, and we all know what he's saying, is we are hammering the price of drugs down. That's
100%.
Okay, interesting. Sounds like games with statistics, but it's a drastic reduction. That's what matters, All right. U.S. Navy Rear Admiral Carrie Cash, chaplain in the Marine Corps, speaks about mental health and strategies for maintaining a positive mindset. Chaplain Cash encouraged service members to draw on faith, hope, and love, and advise them to seek support from their nearest chaplain when facing mental stress or thoughts of suicide. It's darn near 7 minutes long, and I do have more stuff I want to get to. Let's watch a moment of it.
Semper Fi Marines, Chaplain Cash here from Headquarters Marine Corps. Over the past few weeks, I've sent out 2 messages dealing with the fight against despair, depression, and for some, suicide. The key points from these messages were 1, this is a fight. And Marines and sailors, you need powerful weapons with which to fight, weapons like faith and hope. Mental health and clinical professionals, while very important, are not alone sufficient to help us overcome these battles. So fight, but fight with powerful weapons. Another point we raised was that leaders, small unit leaders, you are the main effort. Your willingness to lean into the life of that Marine or sailor can make the biggest difference, which is to say outsourcing Marines to mental health as our first response is not necessarily the right answer. For some, yes. Emergent situations, absolutely. But for many, perhaps most, what that Marine needs is a leader in their life asking good questions and helping them see a way ahead.
Yep. True of anybody.
This brings me to the focus for this message.
Like a lot of young people these days, it's unfortunately probably sounds like rampant in the military too. A lot of people falling through the cracks and unfortunately getting sucked into the left-wing wackadoo shit. I've seen a lot of that because they're just not getting the they're not getting it anywhere else. Really unfortunate. Good to see it being addressed. Okay, half of Medicaid's $18 billion in claims paid to Minnesota programs may be fraudulent, official says, as we saw earlier. It's a big deal. I had a feeling it was a lot bigger than anyone even realized. And even this is probably just tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of federal money that flows around through a lot of different avenues. This is just one of them. Rep. Pramila Jayapal of the squad goes berserk on the House floor. Oh, in favor of cutting up kids' genitals, of course. Oh, and chemically castrating them. Don't forget that.
And the most common form of gender-affirming care for young people is medications that simply pause puberty.
Chemical castration.
And have been used safely.
They don't. Oh, pausing. That's not what they do. You shit.
For decades. So why do my colleagues across the aisle, so-called limited government people, suddenly want government to get in the way of the decisions that parents and their kids make together? Why do they want to stop children from getting medical care that has been proven to be safe and effective and helps them to live happily? Helps them to live. Just live. And the most...
Insane. Yep. Democrat candidate for Senate in Michigan, Mallory McMorrow, says that she would not be able to stop herself from hurling cans of beer at Amy Coney Barrett and Brett Kavanaugh if she saw them in public.
Is there any sense in
Wouldn't be able to stop herself.
Dealing with the Supreme Court, writing them, calling them? I blame them for a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. I am,
I don't know what to do about that. I call, but I just don't know if it's a waste of time.
So I'm a Notre Dame grad, and Amy Coney Barrett coming out of my university makes me very just on a personal level. I talked.
Oh, so now she's got to overcompensate for it by stating she just couldn't help herself and would just have a violent outburst if she saw them. Just to make sure people know she's not like them.
To somebody yesterday.
Because, she came from the same school. That's how fucking fried these people are.
Said they saw her with Brett Kavanaugh at a tailgate last weekend. I was like, I would not be able to control myself. That would be bad. But there would be beers thrown in people's faces.
Wow. $5,000 criminal illegal aliens added to searchable DHS website. What's the story here? Oh, the worst of the worst thing? Yeah. Added the names, photos, and criminal backgrounds of an additional 5,000 illegal aliens to a searchable platform, bringing the number of listed criminals to 15,000. These are ones I assume that they've caught and deported. Yeah. Okay, President Trump issues an executive order which closes the federal government on Christmas Eve and December 26th. Order effective immediately. Authorities have put out a nationwide arrest warrant for a new person of interest in the Brown University shooting per Fox, the person we saw in the videos we played earlier. What the shit? Get out of here. Hold up. And there may be a link to the murder of an MIT professor on Monday night? That the fusion guy? Huh? Okay, what?
Well, I want to jump in for 1 second. It's away. I want to
shit.
jump in for 1
want
second.
to talk to the second person.
Yeah, so we are just getting some new reporting that was, I'm sure you saw earlier, but we can now report this, and this is coming from Brooke Taylor, also working this case. Providence police have identified the suspected Brown University shooter, and they are also they have a warrant. So we're going to hear more about this, obviously, in just a few minutes at this news conference. And they're also investigating a possible link between the Brown University shooting and the MIT murder.
Test 1, 2,
Paul,
3.
I know you were also
I got you there. I hear you.
aware that this may be coming, and now we are getting some confirmation that this is what we're likely to learn here a few minutes away. Paul, I want to jump in.
What the heck?
Murder. Paul, I know you were also aware that this may be coming, and now we are getting some confirmation that this is what we're likely to learn here a few minutes away.
So, okay, so there may be further info incoming. Dude, what the hell? What possible connection could there be between Ella Cook, the young conservative girl who got shot in the face by this Brown University shooter, and the fusion professor? That is just... I'm completely confused by that and very intrigued. I want to know more. Weird. House Democrats released 68 new photos from Epstein estate. Ooh. What? Oh, look at that. A copy of Lolita in the background. How about that? And apparently a tattoo, or I can't tell if it's tattoo or just like gel pen, but that's a line from Lolita. He was low, the nickname that the narrator has for his underage object of desire. She was low, plain low in the morning, standing 4 feet 10 in one sock. Creepy. For more, hold on. Photos show Ukrainian passport and text messages about 18-year-old from Russia. Huh. Oh, wow. Very blunt. The messages refer to an 18-year-old from Russia and mention someone asking for $1,000 per girl. I have a friend Scout. She sent me some girls today, but she asks $1,000 per girl. I will send you girls now. Maybe someone will be good for Jay. Probably a message to Ghislaine, I assume. There's the photo we saw of Gates with some young lady in kind of airport. Noam Chomsky and Epstein on the jet. This old windbag. Oh, that's all we get. That is creepy, though, the Lolita thing. Wow. All right. Anything else last second for a handoff here? Okay, Trump signs an EO declaring America will return to the moon by 2028 and establish parts of a lunar outpost by 2030. A moon base. Okay. FBI appears to raid a Somali-owned Ultimate Home Health Services in Minnesota amid massive Medicaid fraud probes. Awesome. Good. I can't wait to see this expanded to every state in the union. Because I guarantee you, it ain't just Minnesota. I'm sure one of the extra bad ones, but this is going on everywhere. Okay, here we go. Hold on. Before I leave, here's more with this potential link between the Brown University shooting and the MIT thing. with the fusion professor getting shot in his home. That is, what the hell?
The two attacks may be linked, and this is from multiple law enforcement sources to both us, our 5 Investigates team, and ABC News. And that information about this connection was developed in the last 24 hours as detectives working on both cases. So Providence Police taking the lead in Rhode Island, and Brookline Police with Mass State Police taking the lead here in Massachusetts. They compared notes, and the sources said investigators believe they are close to identifying a suspect, which would be a huge break.
Yeah,
And frankly, a sigh of relief for the whole region.
Absolutely. And you mentioned, them comparing notes. We only have those enhanced images of the person of interest in Providence. And as you mentioned, in Brookline, these are both pretty residential areas, right? Very residential areas. And we talk about what happened to that MIT professor here, Noodle Herrero. There are reports that neighbors heard the gunshots that went off and likely were able to look back and see if they had any video or anything like that to go into their investigation, hopefully is leading police to figure out if there is a possible link here or not. Our Emily Maha is in Providence. She's at Brown University.
What?
She has been talking with professors there on hand, talking with students there throughout this investigation. What are you hearing now with this new update that's been coming in?
Yeah, what?
Well, Jessica, you had mentioned this is kind of the first really big update we've gotten in several days, and people here, people in the community, students, staff, faculty, they're anxious for information. They're anxious for any kind of answers, any kind of way to help them understand what happened on their own campus. We're here on South Main Street. Brown University is just up the hill, but there are a number of Brown University buildings across this area, and it is all anyone is talking about. I spoke with one staff member and I asked her, I said, how are you doing? How does everything feel right now? And she said, it feels surreal. It feels like we're living in this alternate universe where you're just constantly checking your phone, checking for updates, asking people if they've heard anything, because nobody knows. It's for a lot of the people I've heard from, the students, the staff, they say it feels so strange that someone was able to walk into the School of Engineering, commit this atrocious crime, and then seemingly just walk right out and vanish.
Dude, this is all just so, something is really fucking screwy. Both of these. Yeah.
So a lot of the people I've been hearing from are waiting for answers. They are hoping for any kind of information, any kind of update that will help them better understand this mass shooting that claimed the lives of 2 very incredible Brown University students and hurt 9 others. It's been a really difficult time on campus. It's been a really difficult time in this community. There's a
All right. I don't see any more on it. Oh, hold on. Authorities just located an abandoned vehicle in New Hampshire that is of interest to the Brown University mass shooting investigation, and are continuing to look into the potential link between two killings. All right. Oh, we're like several minutes over here. I'm gonna hop off and let LC take the wheel. How you doing, man? What do you think of that? All this Brown shooting, the MIT, like what the fuck? Potential link between the two? It's bizarre.
I didn't hear any of it. Sorry, it's my power went off at our house, and my wife is there alone, so she's kind of freaking out.
Oh no!
So I'm walking her through turning the generator back on.
Cool. I can keep going if you need a minute.
That's all right. She's out there. There's no service right now, so she's working through it. So
okay.
Hoping for the best. I'm on the road for work, so yeah, we lost power at 3 a.m. last night and haven't had it since. 100-mile-an-hour winds.
Oh man,
nuts! Knocked over poles, all sorts of stuff. It was flipping semis, crazy.
Well, the gist is they're saying now that there may be apparently a link between the Brown University shooting and the MIT professor that got killed.
Really?
The fusion professor, yeah.
Oh, do we finally have a serial killer on our hands?
Like, what the fuck? Yeah, it's bizarre.
It's been a long time since we've had a good serial. Not that I'm excited for it, but you know what I mean. It's
right?
Been a long time. That's interesting.
Yeah, I was actually just thinking about that too the other week. Like, there really hasn't been a big you know, one that really gripped the nation, you know, kind of a big.
Yeah, I think
serial
technology
killer.
has gotten so good. You have to be really intelligent to get away with being or like really retarded. That happens too.
Yeah, it
If
does.
you're so stupid that they can't catch you, or you have to be really smart that they can't catch you. But if you're a midwit committing crimes, they're going to get you.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Very
maybe
weird.
we finally have someone who's real smart and cracked. Who knows? Creepy stuff.
Yeah, it is. I really wonder what the hell, like, fusion professor, and then the young, like, conservative girl. What could the link between those be? It's just strange. Yeah.
Yeah, that would have to be targeted. I don't know how else could you link them.
I would say, yeah, it sounds like the Brown University one was.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, anyway, I'll let you get to it here. I've blabbed long enough, so.
All right, sounds good. Say hi to Radix and the child for me, and you guys have a great evening. I will see you next week.
Would do. Yeah, have a good show, man.
Thank you very much. See y'all.
All right, guys. That's it. No more for me. I'm gonna go kick it. Relax. I'm tired. I will be back tomorrow morning. Possibly in the night tonight too. I don't know. I don't know if I got a cover for someone tonight or what. You know, we'll see. We'll see. I gotta take a look at the schedule and see who's out temporarily. There's a few people. So I guess I'll see you tomorrow morning. If not, you know. There we go. You guys have a good rest of your night. Relax. See ya.